Hello there, and welcome to this army list rundown. We're going to be looking at High Elves today. I've had some pretty good news, so we've got some lovely champagne, and we're going to talk about High Elves, who are truly, sort of, the creme de la creme of Warhammer races. Or they think so anyway. Oh, what is my hair doing? I should have brushed it before recording, but never mind. There we go. That's the problem with being a 40-year-old man. It doesn't really grow in the right places anymore. Probably should shave it all off, but never mind. Right, anyway. I actually watched these guys in play yesterday. I went to my local gaming club where a Wood Elf player and a High Elf player were having a 1,500 point game. I think my main takeaway from that is High Elves you've really got to get right. You've got to really, use everything to the best of its ability, and then you get the results that you want. However, if you're wasteful at all with your army, like if you get something slightly wrong, it's curtains, because they're not a very big army and they're not very resilient. They kind of die very quickly. Anyway, Grand Army composition. Again, half characters, up to half special, up to 25% on rare, and at least 25% core. This is not unusual. Mercenaries up to 20%, and allies 25% here. However, another restriction on top of this, if you're thinking about match play, is you're only allowed 3 of any one unit, and you're not allowed allies in match play. They've been comped out from the looks of things so far. So we've got interestingly, there's not like one character that you've got to have, so you're allowed. So there's a restriction on High Elf princes and archmages per 1,000 points. There's a restriction on dragon mage or hand. So this is a High Elf prince or archmage. So in a 2,000 point game, you can have 2 archmages, 2 High Elf princes, or a High Elf prince and an archmage. Okay, so these are all, but you can have 2 High Elf princes and 2 dragon mages, for instance. And then you're unlimited for nobles and mages. Nobles are your battle standard bearer, if you want. I'd always take a battle standard bearer as a general principle. They're so useful for an extra 25 points. Why wouldn't you? The core choices are spears, archers. So spears and archers can form a regiment, which is pretty cool. You've got Sea Guard as well that are excellent-ish. You've got Illyrian Reavers, which are, I don't see the point of them, to be honest. Silver Helms, so that you sort of standard elf like military forces. And if your general's a handmaiden of the Everqueen, 0-1 Sisters of Avalon unit, may be taken as a core choice. If not, Sisters of Avalon can be taken as rare. Sisters of Avalon, I think, are very good. You've got your Phoenixes, you've got your Great Eagles, you've got your Bolt Throwers, and you got all your kind of special units. So the cool thing is stuff like Lion Chariots become special if your general's a Creation Hunter, and if your general has the Sea Guard, so Leathern honor, then you can take a Skycutter as a special choice. What the whole army list does, and before I go any further, really, what it does, I think it leans you into choosing a faction to represent. So you can represent just your general, Tiranoc, normal High Elves with Silver Helms, Reavers, Spearmen, Archers, if that's what you want in your army. You can lean towards White Lions. I mean, yeah, you've still got to have your core from, your core troops, but you can lean towards White Lions. You can lean towards Calador. You can lean towards Sword Masters and take like a Hearth kind of list. So I think or you can go for Sea Guard with Bolt Throwers and Sky Cutters and all the rest. So it really does kind of push you into specialising in one of the... I think from the looks of the list, because each of those units kind of have synergies with each other, like strategically on the tabletop. I think if you try and pick a bit of everything, you're going to come undone. So, for instance, why do I say that? So, Sea Guard are a pretty good block of spears that can shoot. You don't really want to be moving them, so they get to maximise their volley fire. They can reform when they get charged, etc, etc. You want your opponent to be doing long charges against you, so you get to stand and shoot and reform. You're then going to want a load of, because they're standing still and forming a castle, you're then going to want a load of Eagle Claw bolt throwers to incentivise your opponent to come to you. So maybe all 4 in a 2k list. And then you want... if you've got any points left spare, you want a couple of Sky Cutters to essentially get around your opponent and cause a bit of a pain in the backside by sort of blocking charges and so on and so forth. And that's what your Lathern list looks like. I'm a bit disappointed they've not made White Lion's core if your general's a White Lion. That would make a bit more sense to me, but you know, whatever. So, as usual, let's go and look at the special rules. There's a lot of special rules for High Elves. As usual. So, Arrows of Isha. Any bow carried by a model with a special rule has an armor bane 1 and an AP of 1. Any bow. That's very good. It's pretty much only Sisters of Avalon and a Handmaiden of the Ever Queen, I think. But we'll see when we go through. Blessings of Azurian. 5 at ward against flaming attacks. That's basically Dragon Princes and Caledonian type stuff. Oh no, it's not, is it? No, I'm thinking of Dragon Armour. Yep. So Dragon Armour, this is all your Caledonian stuff. You get a 6 at ward save. And in addition, wizards with Dragon Armour can wear armour without penalty. Oopsie daisy, that's the wrong way. Elven Reflexes, this is pretty standard across all elves. Essentially a model with Elven Reflexes gets +1 initiative during the first round of any combat. Remember also, and this is why you want to get charged in the front with something like your Lathern Sea Guard, thrusting spears give you an additional +1, so they're up to essentially initiative 6 when they've been charged. So a lot of normal troops will be striking last when they charge them. Ithalmar Armour and Barding allows you to re-roll failed dangerous terrain tests, which is great, and again wizards can wear it without penalty. Ithalmar weapons give you a hit roll of 1, but that again, that's only single non-magical hand weapons. So your spears and whatever else do not count. Liliath's Blessing, pretty much all the wizards have this. You can re-roll a single failed casting roll once per turn. Once per turn is amazing. It's very good. Lion Cloak, they get +1 to armor value against non-magical shooting attacks, which is pretty helpful. Martial Prowess, this is basically spears and Lathern Sea Guard, but essentially they can use their spears to make supporting attacks to flank and rear as well as front. Valor of Ages, it's important that you get... I've seen this in lots of battle reports where they got this wrong. It's just re-roll any failed panic tests caused by taking heavy casualties or being fled through by a friendly unit, alright? So it's just panic tests caused by these two things. It's not panic tests caused by units getting destroyed. It's not panic test... it's not panic test caused by being destroyed. There is another cause of panic test that I've forgotten. No, that's a terror check, isn't it? Yeah, it's just that. You've then got some cool spells. That is situational. This is amazing. So remains in play. Target friendly unit gets unbreakable. It's cast on a 10. And it's got a 15-inch range. So remember, in order to get rid of a remains in play spell, you've got to be within dispel range of the wizard that cast it, and then you got to roll that. So if your opponent's, even if your opponent's got a level 4 wizard, you could essentially have a unit that's 12 inches in front of your guy, so they'd have to get massively within charge range of whoever you're casting this on in order to dispel it. And the unit gets unbreakable. It does destroy other enchantments, but unbreakable is just absolutely fantastic. It's imagine that on some white lions. Oh, nasty. Vols on making is short range and pretty good. It's a high casting value, and it essentially deletes a magic item. So you choose a magic item and then you unmake it, which essentially renders it useless. Which, as a hex, is quite good, but it is only a 12-inch range. So again, getting that off is going to be quite difficult. Dragon mages can probably do it, but other than that, but then again, dragon mages can only get up to level 2, so you need a level 4 wizard really to cast this thing. And I suppose you could put a level 4 wizard on a dragon, but then that's a very expensive model. What is it going to do? Because mages, you generally speaking don't want in combat. Dragons, you generally speaking do want in combat. So we look at the armory now, so Bow of Avalon, this is armor bane 1, magic attacks, volley fire. You've got a ceremonial halberd, that's for the Phoenix Guard. The reason these are here rather than underneath the profiles is because characters can be made like Phoenix Guard or Creation or whatever. So the ceremonial halberd gives you an extra rank, magical attacks. This is for the Phoenix Guard. Creation Great Blade it's a great sword with just AP3, so that's just amazing. That's fantastic. Sword of Hoeth is a great sword that doesn't make you strike last, which is these guys, Swordmasters. Okay, so we've looked at the weapons, and I think actually before we go on, it's a good idea to look at honours. So basically every single character can take an elven, well, some characters, sorry, not every single, some characters can take an honour. So a Loremaster Lord is a level 1 wizard, blah 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 blah, gets a Sword of Earth for free, unless they take other non-magical, gets Ithalmar armour, Liliath's Blessing, Law of Safri. So Liliath's Blessing is like reroll casting values and stuff. Shadow Stalkers, this is essentially the denizens of Nagarith, which is a sort of northern province that's closest to the Dark Elves. They're kind of sneaky. They get evasive, which is great, ambushes, fire and flee, so that's pretty good. Anointed of Asurian is essentially the Phoenix Guard. They get ward saves and they get to ride a phoenix. Calador, you'll see this a lot because so it must be mounted, but it can take all the dragons and a barded steed. Gets +1 modified to weapon skill, which is great, and gets full plate for no additional cost, so 15 points is probably worth it just for the full plate. However, it does get impetuous, so it gets dragon armor, so it gets a 6 at ward inbuilt, but it does get impetuous, so you can essentially draw it out and make it charge things that it probably doesn't want to charge. White Lions, Creation Hunters, can be put on a chariot, blah 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 blah. Warden of Safari, essentially the sword masters of Hoeth are Warden of Safari are like the non-magical heroes that lead the Swordmasters, essentially. Safari is a region, Hoeth is a city, essentially. Pure of Heart essentially is free, so unless the character is freeing, all friendly units within the command range can use leadership instead of their own. Which is pretty good. In addition, this character, any unit is joined, automatically passes any panic test it's required to make. That's pretty good for free. I mean, that's pretty good. Or you can make them Sea Guard, so you can put them on Sky Cutter, give them a Warbow for free, and then they get the Naval Discipline and Rallying Cry special rules. Okay, so that's how you kind of flavour your characters, and that's the flavour of the army. You've then got your Wood Elf Lord, which is Wood Elf. Sorry, that's for later. Oh, I've gone too far. Oh no, where the hell is it? There's not actually that much in the High Elves, to be honest. Here we go. You've then got your High Elf Lord, which has Strike First, which is great. Now, there's a bit of commentary online, and I've got sucked into this as well. Note this special rule does not apply to the model's mount. Now, a lot of people are saying because of the split profile rule, if you put this guy on a dragon, the dragon gets strike first. It doesn't, because it says here specifically, no. However, the dragon will get Valor of Ages and Ithilmar weapons. So that means the dragon gets to reroll ones to hit, because its claws are now Ithilmar weapons. Well, maybe. Let's quickly just check, because this is a bit of a hot topic at the moment. So if we have a look at the... where are they? So Wicked Claws, see below. Okay, so it doesn't say hand weapons here. So actually, no, they don't get to reroll one to hit as well. The split profile rule is a bit of an issue, to be honest. Anyway. So you can get Bow of Avalon, full plate. It costs 6 points. So for an additional 9 points, you can make it a Dragon Prince. It gets weapon skill 8, and you know. So yeah. Then you got your high off mages. You got your normal mage. You got your archmage. One's level 2. One's level 4. I don't know why you wouldn't upgrade a wizard to 2 or 4. To be honest, aside from if you're really stretched for those 30 points. Dragon mages are a sort of a specific thing to Kalador. So Kalador in the lore don't actually have the same. So mages, generally speaking, go to, like, there's various places around Ulthuan where they go and learn their craft. Dragon mages are essentially mages that are born in Kalador. So essentially they're born into the saddle of a dragon. They get given a dragon egg when their magical potential is first identified, and then they grow up. So it's like a whole thing. They're not great. They can go up to level 2, but they do have, like, they are impetuous, which is a bit annoying because, like I said, it's a wizard. It doesn't want to be in combat. Like, it does have the dragon. The dragon mage has light armor, but the draconic scales makes it full plate. It can't take a shield. So it can't get better than, anyway. So anyway, it's got a 4-up save because of the full plate. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's quite a cheap level 2 wizard on a dragon, if you think about it, because like a level 2 wizard, a mage is 80, 110, and then if we look at dragons, it's the cheapest form of dragon, Sun Dragon. Where is Sun Dragon? Can't find Sun Dragon. Oh, there. Oh no, gone too far again. Sun Dragon. So 180, add 110, So you're up to 290 already. So it's actually, for that thing, it's a bit of a discount, and it's already got all the Caledorian stuff like built in. So, it's okay, but again, you don't really want a wizard on a dragon because, it's not as though the dragon fight, like if it was Dark Elves, it's different because the dragon fire on a Dark Elf dragon is amazing. It's like strength 4 and you don't get an armor save. It's like AP 9 effectively. So it's like absolutely fantastic. So you actually do, with the Dark Elves, you would want a sorceress on a dragon because you can then do all your sorcery things, but also you get to do this amazing breath attack. It's not that good. You then got your Handmaidens of the Everqueen. These are characters. Even though it says Handmaidens, there's just one. It's just a handmaiden. These are sort of cool. I'm not sure why they brought them back, to be honest. Because they're kind of their own thing, and they've got evasive. They can have heavy armor. They can take a Horn of Isha, which single use. Take a leadership check in your command subphase, and if you pass, the character any unit they have get +1 to hit and to wound, which again is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. until you start a turn. I suppose you could blow that if you know you're going to get charged, so you can have a shot with your +1 to hit and wound, and then you get to stand and shoot with it. So that's pretty good. I'll quickly just show you the unit they get to go in. Here we go. Sisters of Avalon. So they've got the Arrows of Isha rule. They've got Bows of Avalon. You know, so essentially they're AP. What was it again? I can't remember now. Ugh. 187. 187. Bows of Avalon, Armor Bane 1, magical attacks, volley fire. So they get magical attacks. They've also, because they've got Arrows of Isha, they get Armor Bane 1 and AP 1. Now, I don't know whether Armor Bane stacks. I don't think it does. So I don't really. So anyway, whatever. But you know, they're pretty good, and I think they've got a pretty high ballistic skill as well. So they're pretty likely to hit. I think they're ballistic skill 5 or something, aren't they? Yeah, so the BS 5 already. So they're pretty accurate. +1 to hit and wound on them. You know, would be pretty good. They really don't want to be in combat though. Does she have to join them? No, it doesn't say she does. So actually that could be really useful on some units. Like on Swordmasters or whatever. Then you got character mounts. They're exactly what you'd expect. Princes and nobles. Now, interestingly, princes can go on dragons. Nobles, therefore, have to take the Calador rule, and then they can go. Prince, noble, Calador can go on a sun dragon. There it is. So a noble can go on a sun dragon if you've given it Calador, and these are like the specific things for each faction. So the Ultuan militia, so the spearmen are the regimental unit, and you can take detachments of archers. You can just take them as standalone units, you don't have to do that. But what that means is essentially the detachments, you can have up to 2 detachments for each regimental unit. They can only be up to half the strength of the, so if you took 30 spears, you could take 215 archer detachments. And basically what that means is the archers can stand and shoot when the spears get charged if they're within 3 inches, basically. So you sort of stand them back from the spears, so that when the spears get charged, you get a load of shots. You can replace Valor of Ages with Veteran. Do it. Like, if you're taking them, Veteran means you get to reroll all psychology tests. Valor of Ages means some panic tests. So, way better. You can take the Shield Wall for 10 points per unit. Again, this is like incentivizing you to take bigger units. So 30 of them, it costs 1/3 of a point each, effectively. So that's, you know, really cheap for Shield Wall. It's just a pity you can't take Stubborn. Leathern, or can you? There might be a banner. There was a banner, isn't there, somewhere? No. There might be in the main list of banners and stuff. Where were we? No. Here we go. So Leathern Sea God. So again, they're like spearmen and archers all in one. They've only got war bows rather than long bows, so they're a bit shorter range than traditional, but they do, they do hit at their strength. Leathern Sea God. Here we go. So when it makes a stand and shoot, it can make a stand and shoot regardless of how close the charging unit is. Once it's been resolved, the charging unit may make a free redress the ranks maneuver. So that means move, add or subtract 5 models from the front rank. You can't do it unless you've got a character that's got that special rule. So you've got to have a Leathern character in the unit in order for it to. If there's no Leathern character, if you've got a character that's not Leathern in the unit, can't do it. White Lions, I really like these. They've got a decent weapon skill, they've got high strength. Remember, basically because of their Kracian Great Blades, that strength 6 AP 3, absolutely amazing. You can give them Veteran, they're already elite, why wouldn't you? they get Kingsguard as well. So if you put your general in this unit, then each of them can issue and accept challenges in the same manner as the characters. So, your general can't. So you can't. Your general will always be able to fight the unit if it wants to. So if your general's in this unit and you've charged another unit, even if they issue a challenge to draw out your general or your champion, doesn't matter. You can send forth a normal white lion to step in the way. Swordmasters of Hearth are also amazing. They're initiative 5. So these are initiative 6. They get charged. Then they become initiative 7 because of elven reflexes. They basically have great swords. So they're strength 5, weapon skill 6, which is high, very high. You got strength 5, which again is quite high. AP 2, absolutely fantastic. Only got heavy armor though, so they die quite quickly. They can take drilled, so essentially first turn you can put them in marching column, go 15 inches up the table, and then the next turn you can charge and then get your drilled reform before you do a charging move. Cleaving blow is if you roll a 6 to wound, it ignores armor save and regen saves, but you do get wards, so that's pretty good. You've got deflect shots, which is a 6-up ward against non-magical shooting attacks, which is great, and it can only be joined by mages or characters with Safari or Loremaster. Phoenix Guard are pretty good. They get a 6-up ward against non-magical enemy attacks, so not just shooting like the Swordmasters, but anything, including in combat. They're arguably not as good as Swordmasters. I mean, yeah, they get supporting attacks because of their halberds. Strength 4, AP 1. I mean, you can give them drilled, obviously. So they're pretty good. But, like, they're 16 points, and these are 14 points. Like, these seem better value, if I'm being honest. Shadow Warriors are, like, super skirmishers. They've got evasive, they've got fire and flee. They've got scouts, which means they can be deployed anywhere on the table outside of, I think, 12 of an opponent. I always thought it was no man's land until I checked it yesterday, and it's anywhere on the table. And they get Warriors of Nagarythe, which means they can only be joined by characters with Shadow Stalker. So they don't trust anybody who's not from around these parts. They do have excellent ballistic skill, though. So they're definitely worth taking. They also can have the Chariot Runners and Feigned Flight rules, so that makes them super useful. However, if you are stacking up on all the rules, they become very expensive for essentially just longbow troops. Then, what is this music? Weird. It's supposed to be like a mystical list is what I was going for, but it's gone a bit weird there. It sounded Christmassy. Right, anyway, then you got the Sisters of Avalon. We talked about these already. They're pretty good. I like them. They're quite expensive. However, they are excellent archers. And I'd argue sort of slightly better because they've got bows of Avalon rather than longbows. So these are already AP 1. And you can give them stubborn, which for a unit of skirmishers, that's pretty good. Stubborn is basically the first time you lose a combat, you can just choose to fall back in good order. So that's excellent, really. Then you got Illyrian Reavers. They got light armor. They can't take any more armor. They die so quickly. Like, I don't see the point of them, to be honest. Like, and they've only got they can only take short bows or cavalry spears. Like, neither of that really makes them useful. They're more like missile cav, but like they don't have like fire and flee either. So so if you got feigned flight, if you got fire and flee, you can shoot and then flee, right? If you got feigned flight, you then automatically rally at the end of that fire and flee. However, you just got fire and flee, and you just fire and flee, then you're still fleeing at the end of the move. Silver Helms are, your traditional heavy cav. They got heavy armor, so they got a 3-up save basically if you give them shields. Again, why wouldn't you? They got lances. They're pretty close to like Bretonnian cavalry, really. Except they've got ballistic skill 3, which is useless because they haven't got any missile weapons. You got Dragon Princes, which punch like a mother hubbard. They've got a lot of attacks. They've got essentially lances, so they're strength 5, AP 2, armor bane 1. They've got all the rules. They've got counter charge, which is excellent. So if they get charged in the front, they still get to keep their lance attacks. They've got drilled as standard. They aren't that expensive. 37 points for all of those rules on some cavalry is great. So yeah, I quite like them. The only downside is they've got impetuous, so you just got to be a little bit careful with where you're placing them to make sure that they can't get lured out unexpectedly. You then got Tyranno chariots, which are sort of missile light chariots, going units. D6 impact hits at strength 5 is nice. No AP, but that's pretty good for 75 points, so I quite like that. Way better than Kemrian light chariots. Then you got line chariots of Crace. These are great because you got a war lion, you got a lion pulling it around, so it does impact hits, causes fear because of the lion, you know, stubborn, first charge, you know, it's a heavy chariot. So you got sky cutters, which is like a leathern thing carried around on like hawks and whatever. It's a heavy chariot, which is quite interesting. So it does, you know, D3 plus 1 AP2 impact hits at strength 5, so that's pretty nasty. It's got swift stride, valor of ages, close order. It causes fear as well, which is pretty cool. And then you may take an eagle eye bolt thrower. Again, why wouldn't you? It's like, it's a bolt thrower, BS3, so it's possibly going to hit. Strength 5 AP3, pretty good. Their main ability though is this, fly 10, so they can move 20 inches and just like get around the table. And because it's a heavy chariot, it gets the ponderous rule, so it gets a free pivot at the end of a move, so that's pretty good. Griffins are a good way of cheaply giving a character some extra toughness and some extra wounds. Other than that, they're not great, but you know, for 130 points, all this extra stuff is pretty good. Dragons are pretty good. If it were me, I'd probably end up taking the moon dragon quite a bit, because the extra 65 points for another wound, attack, and a better weapon skill, a lower initiative. Like, flaming weapon isn't great. Then you've got your flame spire phoenix that if it moves over units, it kills stuff, and then it, you know, it can sort of regenerate itself maybe. But again, if you just got a normal elven hero, it makes him toughness 5 and like 5 or 6 wounds, so that's pretty good. You got a frost heart phoenix, which can be a mount. It makes enemies in base contact subject to strike last. So really good for heroes actually, because the prince has already got strike first, so doesn't really need that. Then you got your great eagles, which again can be a mount, which is pretty cool. Again, fly 10 makes them really quick and maneuverable. They've got to make one of their attacks with the maw, and then they can make another 2 with claws basically. So they've got 1 beak attack, 2 claw attacks. You got your eagle claw bolt throwers. The bolt throwers 80 points. They're quite expensive bolt throwers, however they are BS4s, so they're probably worth it. Again, like I said, like if you're going to take a Leathern list, you've got essentially you want 4 of these really. So that's 320, and then where was it? Oh, where's the Sky Cutter? 320, 115. So 420. Oh, so you can take 1 Sky Cutter with 4 bolt throwers. Bit of maximisation required there. Maybe you want 3 bolt throwers so you can take 2 Sky Cutters. Yeah, and that's it. So that's the high elves. Like, oh, magic weapons. We haven't done those yet, have we? Where are they gone? So you got the white sword, strength plus 3, AP2. It's great. Infantry or chariots, whack it on a chariot. Obviously, it's got Monster Slayer, which is amazing. Like if you roll a 6 to wound against a monster, just kill it outright. It's great. Yeah, I mean these are all pretty okay. That's not so good because it's only strength of user, so it's probably like 3 or 4, which is like 50 points. I mean, you get the extra attacks, but like, you know, you want a strength bonus, right? This is pretty cool, Phobane, which is like always wounds on a 4-up, but it's got no AP, so like, yeah. You got the dragon helm. You'll see that a lot because the wearer of the dragon helm gets +1 to their armor save, so you can essentially make a dragon prince like a prints on a dragon with like a full plate, 4+ shield, 3+ this, 2+. So you're giving a 2+ save to a dragon, and they get a 6+ ward. I mean, they've already got a 6+ ward anyway if they're Calador, but that's pretty cool because it gives any character full plate armor and a 5+ ward. So that's pretty useful for characters that aren't Caladorian, weirdly. Battle Banner is amazing. +3 D3 combat results. Like, absolutely, you know, fantastic. Opal Amulet, this is fantastic as well because it makes you immune to killing blow, basically. So even if somebody gets a killing blow off on you, you can then stop that from happening just with the. And again, it's like it's common, so you can take multiple on multiple characters. So that's pretty useful. I mean, you're not going to get killing blowed like more than once a game, so don't really worry about it. The enchanted items, I mean, that's a bit meh. That's now this is pretty good. Cloak of Beards causes terror. Absolutely fantastic. Seed of Rebirth, that's good on a dragon, so you get a 5+ regen. It's common, so lots of characters can take it. There's no reason why a character will want more than one. They get an automatic proper dispel scroll, unlike the one in the book. So it's 40 points for a proper dispel scroll, but that's pretty useful, although quite expensive. Silvery Wand basically makes them like a level 5 wizard in terms of knowing spells, which again is useful, but you know, it's okay. So yeah, that's High Elf. So I hope that's been useful. It's quite short because there's not really a lot to go through, to be honest. But like I said, I think it really leans you into like a play style. So if you're going to choose Lions of Crace, go Lions of Crace. Go all in, and I think that's the way to build a list. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. Like the video if you like the video. If you feel that I've done enough to earn your subscription, that'd be great, and I'll catch you around soon. Toodaloo.